Hi, I'm Becky from Retro from Scratch, and in celebration of National Crayon Day on March 31st, I thought we would do some crayon art, very retro and also inspired by my topic book from school. So I think I was about 10 and the topic was spiders. I won't show you too many of the pictures, but we did some crayon transfers, and this is obviously a spider's web here that I've got on the front and the back, and I thought perhaps we could do this as a crafting activity. Let's upscale it for adults, so kids more than welcome to joining too, but I want to show you that crayons doesn't have to just be for kids. Now, the wonderful thing about crayons is they're not expensive. This packet of 24 different colours was only £1.99. I shall put a link in the description below for you if you would like to get some. So let's get started. And I think one of the things we love about crayons so much is they make very little mess, which is why they're perfect for kids. But why shouldn't they be perfect for adults too? So I thought we would make it a little bit more complicated with a more detailed line design like this. Now, if you've got an adult colouring book, you could use a page from that, or like me, find something on the internet and just print it off onto your paper. All I've done here is take a picture and put it into a Word document, and I'm just going to print this off. I've left this space blank, but you don't have to do this. If you've got an adult colouring in book, you just need to have another sheet of white paper, which will be your transfer sheet. So we're just going to print this off like so. All you then need to do is fold this in half like so. And what we're going to be doing is actually putting the crayon on the back of this top piece, and we'll be transferring it onto this piece of paper. So it's now time to get the crayons, and what I will say is you do need to press quite firmly, but be careful, don't press too hard, otherwise this will happen and you'll snap them. It's quite easy to do, so let's get the colours going. Now, the other thing I would recommend is not using the light colours like yellow and green, and I'll show you why. Here is one I've done before, and as you can see, although this looks very pretty, the yellows are almost invisible. In fact, I think they look better through the camera lens than they actually do in real life. They're quite difficult to see, but the reds, oranges, blues and purples really look good. So unless I use perhaps a darker green, but we'll give it a go. And I did a rainbow effect there, but you can do any pattern or design. And if we look back at my topic book for inspiration, you can see the actual pattern, a bit of green triangle there and a bit of purple there. It's really random. So just colour in however you fancy. Just go mad, go a bit random, do different shapes, whatever you like. Now, what you can do is, so you don't have to colour in too much, if I hold this up to the light slightly, I can just see an outline. So I'm just going to put that outline in, and now I know that that is where I need to fill in my colour. And what you want to do is colour in so that you don't have any white bits. If I do this lightly, there's lots of white transfer here, and we don't want that. We want this sort of block solid colour. But pressing hard is where you may end up snapping your crayons. So just be careful how you hold them, is actually the best way. So if you can hold them quite near the end rather than up here, that's where my problem lie, where I've ended up even holding them like this. There's a weak spot here, so try and hold them sort of vertically and you're going to be less likely to snap any then. Now, I'm using a cutting mat, which has a bit of a rough surface. So if you've got some paper, I'm just going to use some scrap paper here. Pop that underneath, and that's just going to give you a smoother surface to work on. So you'll find, oh, that is a dream. Can you see how much better that is than the purple that I've been colouring with? Now you will see you get this crayon dust, and this we need to get rid of before we start doing the transfer. So I'm just gonna colour this all in for you to see how it goes. I'm going to use the dark green. Yes, I think that will work better. And you can blur the colours, you can mix them, but we don't want to see any white bits. If you leave white bits, you're going to transfer white bits over to here. Like, there will be no transfer basically. And this is quite therapeutic because you could do a design if you wanted. I can show you an example of that. I did a small design here of hearts. I'm not sure if you could see, so a blue background and then some pink hearts. And then I wrote the word love and then pressed it on. And so the design ends up looking like this. So we know that they're little hearts, although it's not obvious from the transfer. So colour away. I'm using the back end of the crayon. It really doesn't matter. What I love about crayons, I love sharpening crayons. They're so smooth and lovely to sharpen with. I nearly held the crayon wrong then. Did you see? I quickly adjusted it before I snapped it. Yeah, so I just love how they sharpen. They sharpen really well. So like I say, you can just do whatever pattern you like. Fill in, doesn't matter if the other colour, but whatever colour you put on here, that is the colour that's going to come over onto this side. This is very therapeutic. If you had a bad day at work, just get your crayons out and just have a good old rage. So yeah, just lay those colours down. Any pattern, any way you like. And I think random may have some more surprising effects. I think random patterns might give you actually a better effect. But it's up to you. Right, there's a gap there. Oh, there's a gap there. Just want to fill that in. Lovely. No more white bits. Okay, so that's all coloured in. What we now need to do is get a brush, and we want to get rid of all of these little specks of crayon, because these are going to leave a mark, and I've already got a little mark there on our clean sheet. If you're using a colouring in book, then you'll be colouring on the back of the page that you want to transfer, and then all you need to do is get a piece of paper and lay that over the top of this sheet. But if you're doing the folded technique like this, then you just want to make sure that this piece is also really, really clean. But if you do get it grubby, you can just put a piece of paper there instead. It doesn't matter. If I just wipe with my hand, I could push it down. So the brush is really important because it will flick it away. This here is where I've wiped it with my hand and actually pushed the crayon into the paper and left little marks. We don't want that. So get rid of those bits. They're just, if you've got a detailed design, they are just going to get in the way and not be as effective. So now what you need to do is grab a pencil that has a nice sharp point to it, not too sharp, but a good point. And we're going to trace over. So you can colour bits in, like this big circle is telling me it needs to be coloured in, but you need to press firmly. And again, if you use some scrap paper underneath, you'll get a smoother finish on it. So it's probably about 10-20 sheets of paper that I'm using here. And then this bit is the bit that's going to take time, but this is all part of the fun. If you want to be super neat, do all your lines in one direction. If you just want to enjoy yourself, just fill it in. And you can go over and over. So if once we've done this, if it's not pressed quite correctly, like if all the colour hasn't quite transferred, you just scribble on top again. You could use a coloured pencil just so you can make it a little bit easier to see where you've been, in case that's hard. And then you can do some of these lines. And if you go a little bit wrong, like that, it doesn't matter, because no one's going to know, because they didn't know what the original looked like in the first place. Or fill it in. Now, what we're going to do is carry on doing this, but I'm going to show you, this is really good for like hand control and hand-eye coordination, because you're following the lines rather than colouring within them. And it's not necessarily easy. Look, I've gone offline here as well. But, you know, it's fine. You might create a pattern that's better. But like I say, if you go really off and you're not quite sure that you're happy with that, you think, oh dear, that's really, I'm not happy with that, then just colour this bit in. And then you can get that piece back in line. You can also add your own details, of course. Like so. Are you ready for the reveal? Okay, it does look very good, but it is a little patchy here. So I'm just going to go back in, press a little bit harder. You can press harder with a pencil. And let's see what that, there we go, that's much better. So what you want to do is work your way around the whole picture. Now, I'm going to do a blue Peter. So here is one I made earlier. Now, as you can see, the yellow and green haven't come out that well, although these thicker colour blocks, I think I'll be inclined to put more filled in pencil marks to get more blocks of colour on this picture. But I'm really pleased with how well that has come out, all inspired by my old school project book. Once you have finished your crayon masterpiece and you would like to seal it to prevent the crayon from transferring to anything else, then all you need is a hairdryer and just give it a bit of a blast. As always, I would love to know if you're going to give this a go. So let me know in the comments below, and make sure you've liked and you've subscribed, because I'm going to be back here next week with another fun craft for you to try. See you then.